6 habits that slowly destroy the flesh and release spiritual power. Let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. Have you ever promised God you would change, and meant it with your whole heart, but somehow ended up in the same place again? You didn't plan to fall. You didn't want to disobey. You weren't trying to drift away. It just happened. And after it happened, you felt that familiar weight. Not just guilt, but confusion. You asked yourself, why do I keep doing this? Why does my spiritual life feel stuck? Why do I feel close to God one moment and empty the next? If you've ever felt that inner conflict, listen carefully. The problem is not that you don't love God. The problem is not that you lack faith. The problem is not that you are spiritually weak. The real problem is this: your habits have been shaping your desires without you realizing it. This video is not here to judge you. It's here to explain what's been happening inside you, calmly, honestly, clearly. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Habit 1: feeding the flesh before the spirit. Let's slow down here, because this habit controls more people than they realize. Every morning, before you say a single prayer, before you think about God, before you think about purpose, something already has your attention. For most people, it's not sin. It's not something obviously wrong. It's the phone, the noise, the rush, the worries, the emotions. And that's the trap. The flesh doesn't need you to choose evil. It just needs to be chosen first. When the flesh is fed first every day, something subtle happens. You don't notice it immediately. Prayer still happens, but it feels rushed. Bible reading still happens, but it feels dry. Worship still happens, but it feels distant. And people think, maybe God feels far. But God didn't move. Your attention did. Whatever you feed first becomes stronger. Whatever you feed last becomes weaker. The flesh grows through repetition, not rebellion. You don't wake up and decide to lose spiritual power. You lose it slowly by letting other things take priority. This is why discipline feels hard. This is why temptation feels loud. This is why obedience feels heavy. Not because you're weak, but because you've been feeding the wrong voice first. Destroying the flesh doesn't start with fighting. It starts with changing the order. Habit 2: avoiding silence. This habit doesn't look spiritual at all. It looks normal, busy, connected, entertained. But silence exposes things people don't want to face. In silence, your thoughts catch up, your emotions speak, conviction becomes clear, and that's uncomfortable. So people avoid silence without realizing it. They keep videos playing, they keep music on, they scroll even when they're tired, not because they're bored, but because silence feels threatening. The flesh hates silence because silence removes distraction. And without distraction, control becomes visible. The spirit speaks quietly, not loudly, not urgently, softly. But if your life is always noisy, you'll never hear it. Avoiding silence doesn't kill faith. It dulls awareness. People don't stop believing in God. They stop noticing Him. And once awareness fades, the flesh operates freely. This is why people say, I don't feel God anymore. Not because God left, but because silence did. Habit 3: justifying small disobedience. This habit is dangerous because it feels reasonable. It sounds like, it's not a big sin. At least I'm not doing worse. God understands my situation. And yes, God understands. But understanding is not approval. Small disobedience trains the mind to relax. It teaches the heart that boundaries can move. The flesh doesn't need a big fall. It only needs small permission. Once permission is given, resistance weakens. And once resistance weakens, control shifts. People don't suddenly become different. They slowly become comfortable. Comfortable with compromise. Comfortable with delay. Comfortable with excuses. And then one day they say, "How did I get here?" They didn't fall. They adjusted. Destroying the flesh here doesn't mean fear. It means honesty. Calling small things what they are before they become big ones. And here's the part most people miss. The flesh doesn't take control through temptation. It takes control through agreement. Habit 4. Letting emotions lead your decisions. This habit feels very honest, and that's why it controls so many people. Most people don't say, "I don't want to obey God." They say, "I don't feel like it today." And that sounds reasonable. You wake up tired. Your mind feels heavy. Your heart feels empty. So you tell yourself, "I'll pray when I feel better. I'll read later. I'll deal with this when I'm in a better mood." But here's the truth nobody likes to hear. Feelings were never meant to lead you. Feelings change hourly. Truth does not. The flesh speaks through emotion. It uses tiredness. It uses stress. It uses discouragement. And when emotions become the decision maker, discipline disappears. People say, "I don't feel close to God anymore." But closeness doesn't disappear. Consistency does. The flesh loves emotional leadership because it gives excuses that feel valid. But spiritual power grows when truth leads, even when emotions resist. This is why mature faith doesn't look emotional all the time. It looks steady. Destroying the flesh here doesn't mean ignoring emotions. It means not letting them sit in the driver's seat. Habit 5. Delayed obedience. This habit hides behind good intentions. "I'll start tomorrow. I just need more time. I'm not ready yet." And none of those sound sinful. But delay is one of the flesh's favorite weapons because delay feels safe. It feels responsible. It feels patient. But spiritually, delay trains the mind to say, "I don't have to act now." The spirit responds to movement. The flesh responds to postponement. Every time obedience is delayed, resistance weakens. Not all at once, slowly. People don't plan to stay stuck. They just keep postponing change. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And suddenly, years pass. Delayed obedience doesn't look like rebellion. It looks like waiting. But waiting without action strengthens the flesh. Power is released when obedience becomes immediate, even if it's uncomfortable. Habit 6. Seeking comfort over transformation. This habit controls modern Christians more than any other. Comfort feels right. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels loving. But comfort rarely produces change. The flesh loves comfort because comfort avoids pressure. It avoids discomfort. It avoids confrontation. The spirit, however, grows through challenge. When comfort becomes the goal, discipline feels extreme, boundaries feel unnecessary, growth feels optional. People don't reject God. They just choose ease. They choose what feels good now over what builds strength later. And slowly, the flesh stays in charge. Spiritual power is not released when life feels easy. It's released when comfort is no longer the priority. Transformation costs something, but what it gives back is freedom. Strong transition line. Use this. And here's the truth most people never hear. The flesh is not destroyed by prayer alone. It is destroyed by changed habits. If you're listening and thinking, "This sounds like my life," that's not coincidence. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are simply learning where control has been living. And once habits change, power follows.